Today we're pleased to have the Zac Mac Band here, live from Night Train Studios. Before we get started, let's meet the band. Guys, tell me your names.
I'm Zach. I play piano and sing for the band.
Frank, I play the drums. I'm Jim. I play guitar and I also sing.
I'm Jeff, and I play bass.
So today we're going to hear you record your new song, Tall Drink of Water, here in the studio. Our show is all about, learning about the recording process. Can you give our audience some tips about, what you do to prepare for a recording session?
Basically, obviously, practice is important, and knowing the structure of the song and how many bars your intro or your bridge and everything is, map it all out. I suggest recording practice, even if it's just one mic in a room, just to get a rough recording of it and get a good take, and so then you can actually map out the tempo. And it's really important to know the click track of the metronome for the song's tempo, because when you get to the studio, you can have nerves and you can rush and then record the song faster than it should be, which is never good.
For me, definitely practice is number one. I mean, if you don't know what you're doing before you come in here, it's can be confusing and frustrating to have to keep playing the same piece over and over and over again until you get it right. So if you get it right beforehand, then you can just play it once and then you're done. Especially for things that are a little more complicated, like guitar solos. Often when playing live, it's fun to improvise, but if you have an idea of sort of where you're going before you get in the studio, it saves a lot of pain in the long run.
Thanks, guys. That's great info. Tell us a little bit about the band. How long you guys been together? What kind of music do you play? Who are some of your influences?
We met via Craigslist, 2008, and we had a different lineup back then, but over the years it's changed a bit, and again, thanks to Craigslist, we came together, and I guess our influences are pretty all over the place, but we're definitely alternative rock. Some of my influences, Collective Soul, Tom Petty, Coldplay, but I know it's different for everybody. We all kind of mix it all together and create something new.
Now, as far as this song you're recording today, Tall Drink of Water, how long did it take you guys to write that?
Well, it's a good question. I think it probably came together pretty quickly. It's a song about being tall, and everywhere you go in public, people come up to you and say, "You're tall. Do you play basketball?" Same old everywhere I go. And felt like I wanted to write a song with some smart replies to that. And a couple of us are pretty tall in the band, so I think we can relate to it.
Okay. Very good. All right, so next we're going to talk to the studio engineer and get some tips about effective recording sessions as well. So stay tuned for that. We'll be back. Okay, we're now in the heart of Night Train Studios, where the magic happens. I'm here with Zac Ketlz, the owner of Night Train Studios. Zac, welcome.
Hey, thank you for having me.
So tell us a little about Night Train Studios, how it came about, and how long you've been here.
I've always loved music. I've been in studios since I was a kid. I used to be kind of a studio rat, and always in the back of my mind thought I'd like that. But back in the 80s when I was a kid, the equipment costs millions of dollars. And luckily, I'm alive today when computers that we can all have are affordable, and so all of us can have some level of recording equipment. And so when we built the addition on this house in 2000, we put the studio in. So that was 2003. It's 1,000 square feet with 4 ISO rooms, big enough for a band, but small enough so that I can still live here. And so, we've been doing this now in the studio for about 10 years.
Excellent. Can we ask the band this question? And maybe want to ask you as well. What tips can you give aspiring musicians who are thinking about coming into the studio? What advice can you give them?
I always love for musicians to come into a studio and have a tour first so that they can see the space and get used to it mentally, so that they can kind of mentally prepare for what's going to happen. It's very different than bands are used to. They're usually in a garage or a basement, and they're all kind of packed in together. And here, they're going to have their own headphone mixes. They're going to be in separate rooms, and so it's nice if they get a chance to kind of see what that'll be like ahead of time. There's a very fast learning curve that goes on during the recording session, so that usually after the first day, a band is kind of an expert. at what goes on. And so I just recommend, whenever possible, go hang out in a studio, maybe watch another session if you can, meet the people you're going to work with, because it's all about capturing a great performance. And if you're relaxed, that's going to happen.
Now, some bands come in and want to do a whole album in one session. What advice do you give to those folks?
I always preach quality over quantity, but it's hard because you're paying a lot of money and you've dragged all your equipment here, and you figure, hey, we're here, why don't we record 8 songs? Rarely do you get great quality 8 songs in a day, because you aren't able to focus on the 1 or 2 that you should focus on. As you'll see today, we're going to record rhythm tracks, and then we're going to record overdubs. And everyone always kind of forgets about how long that takes. So, rhythm tracks, if you're lucky, you can capture it in 1 or 2 takes, but then there's going to be vocal overdubs, which usually you want to do that 3 or 4 times. Then there's going to be guitar solos, there's going to be harmonies. So by the time you're done, you've recorded quite a few hours of recording. It's very hard to do in one day.
Okay, that's great. Great advice. Any last tips for folks wanting to come in or learn more about the studio experience?
I thought the band had a great advice about getting a click track. When you're in practice, write down, that this song is at 125 beats per minute. That way and you all agree that that's what it is. You'd be surprised how many bands come into the studio that day and then say, no, it wasn't. We play it faster than that. And you waste a lot of time doing takes that you don't need to do. You want to capture energy, and so you want to capture a song in its first couple takes.
Excellent. All right, that's great. So let's move on to the next segment, where we're going to actually hear the band record their new song, Tall Drink of Water. Stay tuned.
I'm a tall drink of water, and I'm getting sick of all the garbage. I'm a tall drink of water. Take a picture and it lasts longer. They ask me how tall
So we finished the final mix recording here at Night Train Studios in Westford. I'm here with the band, Zac Mac Band. Guys, great job. Sounded awesome. Any final thoughts about the recording process? I mean, you did a lot of work post that first take. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, usually you'll do some overdubbing, add, sometimes a second guitar track, do some panning, feedback, all kinds of cool stuff. I mean, depending on the song, you might want to add strings. This isn't really a good song for strings, but it's always, fun to keep it building and seeing what you can add and kind of brainstorming different things you can do with, EQs and tweaking the mix and stuff. Anybody else want to add anything to that?
Let's talk to Zac. And as engineer on this song, is there anything different or special about it that came across in your tweaks?
So this is a good song for bands to see, because they can see that basically the band nailed it in the first 2 takes. Actually, both takes seem awesome. We're going to go back later and see which was the keeper. And then we started doing guitar overdubs. And as you saw, we did guitar solo, we did some guitar little pieces, and we did a second guitar track, and that takes time. And if the band knows that ahead of time, then everyone's very supportive when they're here. But if they don't know that ahead of time, then they come in and they're kind of like, oh man, we're running out of time, and why are you taking so long on your guitar tracks? And this is what it is. It's building up the tracks and coming up with new ideas as you hear the song from a different perspective now. And this is where hopefully we get, we start putting on a shaker track, or we might try, a harmony track and things like that. And it takes a while. And as long as the band knows that and they're supportive of that and they're excited about it, then things go well. It's when you haven't allotted enough time and you're running out and everyone's like, oh, we got 15 minutes to master the track, that you don't really get what you should in the studio. And by the way, Zach, do you play basketball?
I do. Do you play mini golf?
I don't.
Yeah, being in the studio is no fun at all. All right. Thank you guys so much. I'd like to thank the Zac Mac Band. I'd like to thank Night Train Studios, Zac Ketlz, and all of you for watching the final mix. Good day, everybody.